Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day. And no, your eyes do not deceive you. I am in fact playing Risk of Rain 2 today. This is mostly thanks to a very passionate request from a commenter, and I kind of felt like I owed it to them, so here we are. Now, I won't lie, when I got the request to play Risk of Rain 2, I wasn't overly excited. Risk of Rain 2 is a game that I had tried to play before. The first time I played it, it just wasn't really my thing, which was surprising to me, considering that I really do enjoy roguelikes quite a bit. But I tried Risk of Rain 2, I just wasn't the biggest fan of it, and I didn't really touch it for a long time. But then a lot of my friends said that it was like one of their favorite games ever, and that warranted me trying it again. And I once again tried it, just really didn't feel like it was my type of game, so I moved on, and I really didn't launch it or open it at all since then. However, it was requested, so I decided why not give it one last try. Third time's the try, right? And I played the game, and I'm going to be giving my thoughts on it today. So when I started recording, I told myself that I would at least beat the game. And if that at that point I didn't enjoy it, I would just probably not make a video on it, or I would make a shorter video just saying like, hey, I did try it, and it just isn't a game for me. However, upon my first time beating the game, I actually kind of fell in love with it. And I've got to say, I think people really know what they're talking about with this game. It is probably one of the more fun roguelikes that I have played. However, I will say I do think it's easier than quite a few roguelikes that are currently out. So I think if you're new to roguelikes, then Risk of Rain 2 is definitely a pretty good game to start with. I think it introduces you to the concept of roguelikes pretty well, and it's got some pretty similar, mechanics to other roguelikes. However, I think if you're pretty familiar with the genre, I don't exactly think that Risk of Rain 2 is going to be a huge challenge to you. That doesn't mean that it isn't fun. I still had a lot of fun with the game, but there haven't been very many runs that I've had in Risk of Rain 2 since I've beaten it that I haven't beaten it again. I have not yet tried out the monsoon difficulty. I'm thinking about doing that again, and if I do, that'll probably be another video. I also debated modding it to make it just like ridiculously hard because I think that would be kind of fun. If that sounds like something that you want to see, leave it down below in the comments. But to cut a long story short, I don't think Risk of Rain 2 is an incredibly hard game, but I also think that's okay, and not every game has to be incredibly hard. But to end off probably one of the longest intro segments that I've had in my videos to date, please remember to like and subscribe if you have watched this far and you're enjoying. It really does help me out more than you guys understand, and I read every single comment, and sometimes they end up with me playing games like this, as the last comment did. So with that, let's get into the actual video. So the first thing I really wanted to talk about is I feel like Risk of Rain 2 has a really strong roster of characters. I think they're all pretty unique, and they're all, viable. I don't think any of them are overly weak. Now, with that, I will say one of my main criticisms of the game, actually, and I think the main reason that I didn't enjoy it that much my first time playing, is I think the commando, like the very first character that you play the game as, is maybe I'm either playing it wrong or that's just a really underpowered character and also not very engaging. And like I said, I think that really contributed to me not having a fun time with the game at first. I think the characters that you unlock after that are way better. Now, typically, I would have some gameplay of me playing Commando to kind of emphasize my point. However, this is my second time recording this because for some reason I woke up to edit one morning and all of my footage from my Risk of Rain video and also another video that I was working on in the background, which is actually a pretty big project, I just didn't have any of my footage. I don't know what happened to it. I couldn't restore it. I tried for like an hour to get it back, and I genuinely have no idea what happened to that. But because of that, this video is now, I need to get it out today, and I didn't really have time to record enough gameplay to get all the characters. So we're going to make do with what we have right now. But just know that I'm not the biggest fan of the Commando character, and I think it's a big reason that I did not have a fun time with the game originally. Another criticism that I have that I just wanted to get out of the way, I promise I'm not just dogging on this game. I actually do like it quite a bit, but I did have some stuff that I wanted to talk about that I don't particularly enjoy. And one of those things just happens to be that I feel like the items in this game don't feel super impactful, at least not as impactful as other roguelikes do. Like, for example, when you pick up a good item in Binding Isaac or a good card in Slay the Spire, it feels like it really changes the run. I feel like most of the items in this game don't really have that feeling, and I also feel like I end up going for the same items over and over again, which kind of just makes all the runs feel the same. Now, if you have more hours than me and would like to correct me, or maybe I'm just being stupid, then feel more than welcome to comment that. I only have like 20 hours in this game, and I've only won, I think, about 4 runs. So that's just a very new perspective to the game that I have. It's just kind of how I was feeling as I was playing through, but I could be completely wrong. So something that I actually kind of want to praise the game for is that I think its art style looks really nice. It's very easy to look at. I think all the enemy designs too, they just look great. Whenever I'm playing a run, like I don't think the enemies designs get boring run after run. Maybe that changes 100 hours in, but at least so far, I think that all the areas are designed really well. The art style complements those areas super well, and it's just generally a nice game to look at, which is always a good thing. I also really found myself enjoying pretty much every boss fight in this game. I'll be honest, the first few times that I played it, it seems like I got Beetle Queen every single time that I was leaving the first and second stage, which kind of made it feel super repetitive. But I think that was just bad luck because in most of my runs after that, it's been there's been a good variety of bosses, and I also don't think that any of the bosses really feel the same. I think Magma Worm is definitely my favorite boss just because it looks really cool. It's also really not that hard of a boss because of how big it is, and it's pretty easy to dodge most of the attacks, but I don't think all the bosses are like that. I think the Dune Strider is probably one of the more difficult ones just because it heals quite a bit and it'll pull you in. But what I'm getting at is I think the bosses are designed pretty well, and I also don't think they're overly difficult. Now that I'm talking about boss design, though, it just got me thinking. I did want to say something about the final boss because I have quite a few mixed opinions about it. I think the spectacle of the boss is done really well, how you go through the moon and then you eventually go up and challenge the boss. I also feel like that boss fight goes on forever, and every single time that I do it, it kind of drags. I don't think it's incredibly challenging, which is, I think, another reason that I feel like it just kind of drags on. It just kind of feels like I'm running around in circles and shooting at the boss the whole time, and then eventually it ends. Um, he does have like 4 phases, I believe, which feels a little excessive. I get that it's the final boss, but it gets to the point where if my build is good enough and I'm playing well enough, I would like to just beat the boss, and if I'm not good enough, then I would like to just die. I feel like the boss dragging on for as long as it does kind of ruins the experience. I found myself a lot of the times when I'm wanting to start a new run, I'm almost discouraged from doing so because I know that the run's probably going to take at least an hour, which you could argue that for other roguelikes, but I just haven't played a roguelike before that I dread the final boss that much, not because it's hard, but just because of how long the fight goes on. I will say though, not to just completely drag on the fight, I do like the mechanic where he takes all your items and then you have to do damage to him in order to get them back. I know I just talked about how long the fight goes on, but I actually feel like if that like segment of the fight lasted a little bit longer, it would be better. I feel like it's always kind of like a scary moment and kind of cool, but I think he has significantly less health in that like part of the fight, and it seems like it goes way too fast compared to the other stages. I think that's just about all I had to say about this game. Overall, Risk of Rain 2 is pretty fun. It's definitely not my favorite roguelike, but it's certainly not my least favorite. And I am glad, thank you to that commenter, for at least having me come back and try the game again, because I'm glad that I gave it a fair shot. And I do really think it's a fun game, and I see why people like it so much. Um, I also wanted to bring up the fact that my last video did incredibly well. I cannot thank you guys enough. It got 1,300 views, which just completely blew my mind. My girlfriend and I just kept like refreshing and checking it, and it just made me so happy that whole week. It still does. I also gained like 16 subscribers in that week, which just means the world to me. You guys really have been blowing up my videos, and I can't thank you enough for that. Hopefully this video does well too. If not, it is what it is. But I just wanted to say that the continued support really does mean so much to me. Another thing that I wanted to say before I end this video out is that the next video idea really is not set in stone as of right now with me recording this. So if there is a game and you're still watching that you would like to see me play, or even just try out like I did Risk of Rain, or maybe like an idea in another game that you want to see me do, I'm always open to that. I'm going to play what you guys suggest over what I just randomly pick. So if there's any game that you've been wanting to watch me play, I feel like if anything, this is proof that I'm more than willing to do that, and I'm always happy to play recommended games. But with that, thank you so much for all your support on the channel recently. Like I said a million times, it really does make my day and it means the world to me. Thank you so much for watching this far if you've made it this far, And please remember to like and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.